The guy had a gun pointed at my wife's face in our front yard because she went for a jog without a neighborhood ID badge. Yeah, let that settle in. Some middle-aged man in a tactical vest from Amazon, holding his pistol sideways like he learned it from a discount action movie, screaming about community security, while my wife stood there in running shoes and a hoodie, earbuds still in. What he didn't know, what I would have paid money to see register on his face in real time, was that the woman he'd just decided to intimidate was active Delta Force, 2 days back from a classified mission, and hadn't even unpacked her field gear yet. And he chose her. Let me back up a sec. We moved to this neighborhood for quiet. That's the irony. My wife has diffused explosives in a thunderstorm during a hostage rescue, but what she wanted now was peace, morning jogs, maybe a garden, possibly chickens. I'm a cybersecurity nerd, extremely indoorsy, happiest in a basement with stable fiber internet and zero human interaction. We thought we'd found the perfect place, gated HOA community outside the city, glossy brochures promising sanctuary, family focus, and community spirit. Nowhere in the pamphlet did it say, comes with armed cosplay enthusiasts patrolling sidewalks like it's a Call of Duty side quest. We should have known when we saw the golf carts. 4 of them, matte black, lined up outside the clubhouse. White block letters, HSD, Home Safety Division. Blue lights zip-tied to the roofs. One had what looked suspiciously like a siren glued on crooked. They looked like budget SWAT units with cup holders. I thought it was cute. Halloween energy. Community theater. It was not community theater. The HOA president, Karen Brewster, introduced herself with a laminated badge and 3 clipboards. She had that smile, you know the one, the smile of someone who's never been meaningfully challenged and doesn't plan to start. She handed us a printed booklet of rules thick enough to stun a raccoon. No drying laundry outdoors. Grass may not exceed 2.75 inches. Residents must not appear intimidating during recreational activity. I asked what appear intimidating meant. She smiled and said, "You know it when you see it." That was my first clue we'd made a mistake. Still, we kept to ourselves. My wife spent the first week organizing the garage and installing perimeter cameras. Habit, not paranoia. I set up my office and tried not to think about Karen's Bluetooth headset that made her look like airport ground control. Day 8 is when it blew up. She went out for her usual morning run. Hoodie, sneakers, quick loop. I was inside making coffee when our street-facing camera pinged with a motion alert. 2 HSD golf carts blocked the road. My wife stood still, hands slightly raised. And there he was, Captain Fredrickson, later dubbed Captain Clipboard, potbelly straining against a tactical vest, pistol raised at chest level, yelling about identification in a restricted HOA zone. I dropped my mug. By the time I sprinted outside, 2 more officers had arrived, hovering behind him like backup dancers in a very low-budget music video. My wife stood calm, breathing slow, eyes locked on the weapon. He kept shouting, about trespassing, about suspicious behavior, about how she was running with hostile energy. Hostile energy. She asked him, very evenly, if he was law enforcement. He puffed up and said, "We're HOA police. That's higher than city cops here." That's when I saw it, that tiny smirk at the corner of her mouth. The one that means someone has made a deeply unfortunate decision. She gave him one last chance. "Sir," she said quietly, "I'm going to ask you to lower your weapon. For your own safety." He didn't. I blinked. Gun on the pavement. Man face down. Arm pinned in a hold, so precise it probably has a NATO acronym. 3 seconds. Maybe less. She wasn't even breathing hard. Police arrived. Real police. One officer checked her ID, paused, then nodded with the kind of subtle respect that doesn't need explanation. "Ma'am, you're good to go." And just like that, they left. Karen arrived 10 minutes later to find her decorated peacekeeper, nursing a bruised ego and a sprained dignity. The look on her face? I'll treasure it forever. That should have been the end. Instead, she declared war. Emergency HOA meeting. 7 p.m. By 6:30, it looked like the Super Bowl. Lawn chairs. Popcorn. Coolers. Someone's teenager live streaming on a GoPro. Karen stepped up to the podium like she was announcing a national crisis. "It is with a heavy heart," she began, "that I report a violent assault on one of our peacekeepers." Peacekeepers. She gestured dramatically to Captain Clipboard, arm in sling, milking it like he'd stormed Normandy. I raised my hand. "What's the known history of aggression?" I asked. Because I live with her, and she's never even raised her voice. She does raise chickens, though. Some people laughed. Karen did not. Then someone rolled the body cam footage. Turns out one of the HOA officers bought a camera to feel official. What he forgot was that it synced to the cloud. A neighborhood teenager hacked it and uploaded everything. On the big screen, my wife jogging, cart screeching, gun drawn, audible gasps. 3 seconds later, Captain Clipboard eating pavement. Silence. Karen tried to say it lacked context. What context makes pointing a gun at a jogger okay? Someone asked. That was the shift. You could feel it. Fear cracking. People whispering about dues. About fake upgrades. About those mysterious landscaping invoices. That's when my wife quietly went to work. Not with force. With paperwork. Public records. Financial filings. Property disclosures. She dug through 3 years of HOA payments and found $180,000 funneled to a landscaping company called Verdant Horizon LLC. Verdant Horizon did not exist. Shell company. Board member's cousin. 2 fountains installed instead of 8. Roads never repaved. Beautification projects that were basically weeds behind the dumpster. She compiled everything. Clean. Professional. Bulletproof. Then she sent it to a federal auditor. Karen escalated with fines, $1,470 for excessive aggression and failure to display neighborhood ID. She tried filing a restraining order accusing my wife of militant behavior. The judge tossed it before it warmed the desk. Then came the cease and desist. Delivered at 9:01 a.m. by a courier in a Navy windbreaker with government insignia and mirrored sunglasses. Karen froze on her porch holding that envelope like it was ticking. HOA patrols stopped. Clubhouse locked. Silence. Operation Curb Appeal began. Flyers with clean bullet points. No insults. Just numbers. Lawn signs popped up. Smile, you're being fined for blinking. Residents started talking to each other again. City council got involved. Public hearing. My wife stood up in jeans and a black t-shirt. No theatrics. Just facts. Shell companies. Illegal bylaws. Weapon misuse. A council member asked casually, Mrs. Owens, what's your background? She nodded. I currently serve in a classified capacity within a U.S. Army Tier 1 Special Mission Unit. Dead silence. An older councilman leaned forward. I thought I recognized you. Welcome home, ma'am. Karen's credibility dissolved like sugar in hot tea. Audit launched. Enforcement frozen. Residents stopped paying dues. Then came the golf cart incident. Karen ordered Captain Clipboard to retrieve unauthorized materials, which meant my wife's audit summaries. He floored the golf cart toward her. She stepped off the sidewalk. There's a shallow trench by our house landscapers never filled properly. Cart tipped sideways into honeysuckle. She calmly retrieved her tote bag and dropped a granola bar beside him. In case you're in there a while. That footage? Viral. The HOA disbanded within weeks. Karen fined, barred from residential leadership for 10 years. Attempted impersonation of law enforcement? Turns out judges don't love that. Life normalized. Kids rode bikes without being chased by golf carts. Porch lights stayed on past 9. Neighbors waved without flinching. Tom, retired postal worker, became new HOA president. His first and only rule, don't be a jerk. Honestly, it's working. We thought it was over. Then one night, black SUV. Quiet. Clean. Official. A man stepped out. Military precise haircut. Nodded at my wife. Envelope exchanged. She read it. That old intensity flickered back in her eyes. Not fear, not excitement. Certainty. When do I leave? She asked. Dawn. That night she packed light. Left a note on my desk. Karen was just the warm-up. This is the mission. At sunrise I watched her walk to the SUV, steady as ever. She didn't look back. She never does. And I stood there with my coffee thinking about how ridiculous it all was. How a woman who's taken villages back from hostile forces just had to take back a cul-de-sac from a woman with a clipboard. Here's the thing. Karen thought power came from fear, fines, and laminated badges. My wife reminded everyone it actually comes from accountability and neighbors who stop being scared. So I'll leave you with this. If someone with a fake title and a louder voice tries to run your community like a dictatorship, do you keep your head down? Or do you shine a light and let the facts speak? Because sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it jogs past you in a hoodie. And if you've ever dealt with an HOA, a boss, or anyone who thought they were above the rules, I want to hear it. Drop your take below. Was Karen just delusional or dangerous? And tell me honestly, would you have handled it with paperwork or pine cones and zip ties?